In our brief today, we bring you the latest on the Capital Bank collapse case. Ghana has secured a conditional approval for a $3 billion IMF support. We'll bring you videos from a joint press conference held by the IMF, Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance. In Bukom in Accra, boxer Bukom Banku and son have been remanded in police custody over a stabbing case. And IGP promotes police officer shot by Caprice armed robbers during a special operation. Welcome to Graphic Online's News in Brief. We start from the courts, where the Accra High Court has freed William Ato Essien, the founder of the Defunct Capital Bank, even though he has been convicted. Essien was standing trial for stealing 192.5 million Ghana cedis of depositors' funds.
Essien was set free today after the court, presided over by Justice Eric Kyei Baffour, accepted an agreement between him and the prosecution for Essien to pay 90 million Ghana cedis as restitution to the state. As part of the agreement, Essien pleaded guilty to 16 counts of stealing and money laundering. Graphic Online's Emmanuel Ebo Hawson, who was in court's room, reports that the other accused persons, Fitzgerald Odorkor, a former MD of Capital Bank, and Tettey, the CEO of a company said to be controlled by Essien, were acquitted and discharged after they were found not guilty. As part of the agreement, Essien, who pleaded guilty to stealing, has already paid 30 million Ghana cedis to the state and will pay the remaining 60 million in 3 installments of 20 million each by the close of 2023.
An accused person may be imprisoned. The money that he was prosecuted on may still be with him. He comes back and enjoys the booty. Because at the time that we were investigating, we couldn't have any inclination as to where those monies had been hidden. So if possibly, in the other cases, they make offers and we deem them to be reasonable to the state, we may consider it. But if there are offers that are unreasonable, we will not accept them. Go ahead and do our work as prosecutor.
And to those questioning why the court freed William Ato Essien even though he has been convicted, here are some answers. The High Court in Accra accepted an agreement for Essien to pay 90 million Ghana cedis to the state as restitution. As part of the agreement, Essien, who was in the dock for stealing 192.5 million Ghana cedis of deposited funds, has already paid 30 million Ghana cedis to the state and will pay the remaining 60 million cedis in 3 installments of 20 million cedis each by the close of 2023.
The court, presided over by Justice Eric Kyei Baffour, accepted the agreement pursuant to Section 35 of the Court Act of 1993, Act 459, which allows accused persons standing trial for causing financial loss to the state to pay the money and possibly avoid a custodial sentence. Justice Kyei Baffour, who initially rejected the agreement, accepted it today after it was explained to the court that the state had already recovered 101.2 million Ghana cedis of the total of 192.5 million Ghana cedis, with the remaining amount being 92.5 million Ghana cedis. Also, it came out that an amount of 35 million Ghana cedis was repeated twice on the charge sheet, meaning Essien actually has 57.5 million to pay. This means the 90 million being paid by him was in excess of 32 million, which will be interest on the amount to the state. As part of the agreement, Essien also pleaded guilty to 16 counts of stealing and money laundering.
The first accused person, Ato Essien, has always insisted that he has an amount not more than 57.5 million Ghana that he thinks he has stolen. 57.5. And we also were of the view that even if he accepts the 57.5, the money has been with him for some time, so we insisted on getting some reparation for the state. So out of the 90 million, over 32.5 forms part, or is part of the reparation. If the first accused person decides to pay 19.99 million Ghana cedis by the 28th of February, the following day, we'll make sure that he's arrested and brought to court the following Monday. So we expect him to go by the terms of this agreement. We will not, under any circumstance, even extend it by a day. We are monitoring, keep our diaries, check the accounts, Bank of Ghana, to see whether those monies have been paid. If he pays them, so be it. If he doesn't, then the courts definitely deal with it.
From the court, we move to the Finance Ministry, where Ghana has secured a conditional IMF approval for a $3 billion support to the economy. Ghana and the International Monetary Fund rigged a preliminary agreement for the fund to support the economy with the credit, which is to help resuscitate and correct fiscal monetary imbalances.
The proposed 3-year extended credit facility was approved by the staff of the IMF this week, subject to final approval by the management and executive board of the Bretton Woods institution. A statement from the IMF said the management and executive board approval was conditioned on the completion of a debt restructuring exercise to bring debt stock to the sustainable level. It is Ghana's 17th support from the Bretton Woods institution after joining it in 1957.
Truly, the eventual conclusion of the program will assist us in our efforts to restore stability, tackle inflation, and strengthen our currency. That is why the various ingredients of the program should be supported by all Ghanaians and all stakeholders.
The IMF mission chief to Ghana said the plenary approval will be presented to the IMF board for final approval after Ghana has made sufficient progress with efforts to restore debt sustainability.
By recognizing the significant economic challenges that the country and the Ghanaian people are facing these days. It is against this backdrop that the authorities requested an IMF-supported program in early July. We have since then been engaging very closely, and I am extremely pleased to announce that the IMF has reached a staff-level agreement with Ghana on a 3-year program that will be supported by an arrangement under the extended credit facility and in an amount of about $3 billion.
And at the end, Information Minister Kojo Oponkroma summed up the briefing.
Minister makes the point that this is not the end of the road. A lot more work needs to be done, but it will require the same speed, seriousness, and collaboration that has enabled what has happened in the first 6 months to continue and to get to the end.
From the Finance Ministry, we move to an issue of crime where boxer Brian Makamoko, popularly known as Bukom Banku, has been remanded in police custody by a court for his involvement in a stabbing case.
Bukom Banku has been remanded into police custody by an Accra Circuit Court for 1 week on the charge of abetment of crime. He is said to have aided one Prosper Kyei to cause harm to one Ishmael Kyei at Bukom in Accra. The Ghana News Agency reports that Banku was in the dock with his son, Mustafa Kamoko, who is facing the charge of causing damage. Banku, aged 50, and his son, Mustafa Kamoko, have pleaded not guilty. Meanwhile, the accomplice, Prosper Kyei, a 32-year-old unemployed man who has been held on the charge of causing unlawful damage, failed to appear before the court for his plea to be taken. The court has therefore issued a warrant for his arrest. The Ghana Boxing Authority has been reacting to the development, considering that professional boxers are not supposed to be engaged in public fights.
And before we go, the policeman who was shot during a shootout between the police and the Caprice armed robbers has been promoted from the rank of corporal to sergeant with immediate effect.
The officer, together with his team members, took part in a special operation to arrest the armed robbers who attacked, shot and robbed a woman at Caprice in Accra. The injured officer suffered multi-fragmented fractures to the bone of his right thigh due to the gunshot, is billed for a major surgery.
Thank you for watching. For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH. I am Enoch Dafa Frimpong.